As we told you earlier, today wrapped up the confirmation hearings for Judge Brett Kavanaugh, a lifelong Catholic. Earlier this week, he faced 2 marathon question and answer sessions from senators. So did he do enough to be confirmed? Joining me now from Capitol Hill is Carrie Severino, Chief Counsel and Policy Director for Judicial Crisis Network, which supports Kavanaugh's nomination. Carrie, welcome back to the program. As you have been seeing, Roe v. Wade has dominated much of this week's questioning. Was Judge Kavanaugh able to satisfy both constitutional scholars and pro-life groups?
Well, I think he was able to satisfy the constitutional scholars and, most importantly, the standards that a Supreme Court justice nominee has to follow. The big challenge here is that every justice sitting on the court has to follow the judicial ethics, which say you can't promise how you're going to vote in a certain case. You can't say what you're going to do in a case that's likely to come before the court. So he's not able to give a lot of people the answers they would love to hear. But what we have had a chance to hear, actually, is very encouraging, because you hear someone who is committed, first and foremost, not to politics, but to the law, and to be an independent judge who looks at what the Constitution says and what the law has said. That's the kind of thing that's earned him bipartisan support. That's the kind of reason that I think his confirmation is, at this point, really sailing toward completion.
And today we heard from Representative Cedric Richmond, president of the Congressional Black Caucus, who voiced concerns about the impact of Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation would have on civil rights. What is it about his record that's provoking concern?
You know, honestly, nothing except for the fact I think that he was nominated by President Trump, because he actually has a very good record on civil rights. But I think what we're seeing here is part of this general hysteria that's been going on around this nomination. Chuck Schumer said he's going to do everything he can to stop it, and they really have put out all the stops. It's been shouting, literally, I think about 150 protesters arrested and taken out of the room. Senators engaging in sort of a circus, a made-for-TV circus of basically trying to get in front of the cameras to make points more than actually looking at Kavanaugh's record himself. That probably is going to work really well for people like Senators Booker and Harris, who are probably running for president in 2020, but it might not work so well for red state Democrats like Joe Manchin, like Heidi Heitkamp, who I suspect are very embarrassed by what's going on and the extremism their party has been showing during these hearings.
Well, the Senate is expected to vote on Kavanaugh later this month, and as we mentioned, you've been covering the hearings all week, Carrie. You're in his corner, but what impression do you think he's made more generally?
I think he's really put a lie to some of the extremist rhetoric, and what you see is someone who is a thoughtful, reasoned judge who time and again would walk the senators who were actually interested in hearing about cases and things he's really decided, would walk them through the actual law. We saw some really good interchanges about how our constitutional system works with people like Senator Sass or Senator Lee and Senator Cruz. And in particular, Senator Cruz brought out some great perspectives on religious liberty and religious freedom, something that Judge Kavanaugh has been a proponent of since well before he was on the bench. So you can see this is someone who recognizes the importance of our constitutional principles from day one.
And we'll continue to follow all developments with Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Carrie Severino, Chief Counsel and Policy Network for Judicial Crisis Network, thanks so much for your analysis.
Great to be here.